Greetings, amazing fans of Magic the Gathering, players, collectors, and investors. Beautiful, amazing fans of the game who love the game as much as I do. Thank you very much once again for joining me here this morning for a little bit of Magic the Gathering Stocks and Talks. I'm your host, Brody. Alfonso, I'll be here for the hour giving you your Magic the Gathering daily morning Magic the Gathering card updates. Have you seen the March of the Machine spoilers? I'm sure you have already. Folks are talking about it, but we were able to bring it to you on its debut here yesterday on the show. And if you caught that, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us on the live stream. We did it again yesterday, and we're doing it again today. It's Thursday, it's March the 30th, it's 2023. So thank you all for joining me this morning. Let's take a trip together and an adventure while we look at some of the Magic card prices, news that's going on all around the world. And no matter where you are, I would like to give a shout out to you. And if you're joining us for the very first time, maybe over on Rumble, hit that subscribe button on your way through the door. It lets us know that you're watching and it helps the channel grow. Thank you very much, beautiful and amazing people. Who have we got in the chat? A couple of viewers here this morning. I would like to onboard new subscribers. There's 244 of you folks that are watching, and anybody who hasn't hit the subscribe button, I can tell most of you folks who are watching at home are not subscribed. So make sure you hit that button, the notification button, before you go or before you head out the door to no matter where you are this morning. If you've got Brody with you in the car, if you got me on the coffee station, maybe you've got me dragging from the bumper here this morning. No matter where you are, safe adventures out there in the world, leading the best life you possibly can. We wish you the sun on your face and the wind at your back. And thank you for tuning in here this morning. We're going to talk finance just for a minute here. Since we've been hauled up on the channel for, it seems like an eternity, but it's only been since November, waiting for that fourth quarter earnings report to come out from Hasbro. We saw it come out on February 16th, including the formidable ESG component that seems to be the mantra and the march forward as we march into the March of the Machine pre-release debut that happened yesterday over at the Wizards of the Coast channel. The battle mechanic was released and exactly how it works. And I think we're one of the channels that made a comparison to an early Magic the Gathering mechanic that was invented by Richard Garfield called Structures. That was the precursor idea for Planeswalkers. And it looks like Wizards of the Coast is going back to the well on this one, taking the adaptation of the Structures mechanic that was piloted in Zendikar but walked away from, and now it's back in the form of the battle mechanic. I don't know about you folks. Are you excited about this battle mechanic? It seems that the cards are printed sideways. It might be a little bit telling for anybody who's interested in competitive Magic play, that if you look across the table, maybe you're at a draft and your opponent's turning his cards sideways or her card sideways, you may suspect that they're holding a battle card. So despite some of the complications with the battle mechanic that's arrived in the world of Magic the Gathering here again today, we look forward to a lofty release in paper form, as Wizards of the Coast has repeatedly reminded us that they will not be pre-releasing this set and others going forward until such time on Arena, until such time that they can work out all the bugs and the complications that's going on in the online digital world. In financial news for you folks, and as it relates to Hasbro, if you have seen the fourth quarter earnings report, and if you haven't checked it out already, we've covered it here a couple of times, including the ESG component. We're following the banking situation right now because it's not sticking in the mainstream media news. So I'm glad you folks have joined us here. I'm all the way up in Canada, but I assure you, I'm keeping an eye on things as they unfold in the banking world. Don't be distracted with new set releases and shiny spoilers out there. We want to preserve the fun in our Magic the Gathering collection and don't let any silly brokers get their hands on our money. Do you know why they call them brokers? Well, it's because they make you broker, as a matter of fact. The only people who would be touching Hasbro stock at this point, as the stock is sort of dipping and plunging around the $48 to $50 mark and has been for a couple of times. The Hasbro stock has been and may be a bit of a has been a pick for big banking investors in the past who support ESG and the like-mindedness that Wizards of the Coast is championing as their business model here in 2023. So settle up as we explore the world of finance as it pertains to magic cards and banking, and we keep an eye on things, new set releases that are coming out. We have a couple of headlines for you this morning as things cool off in the banking world, but I assure you there is still a little bit of stress out there in the market, and who wouldn't be stressed as things tend to unfold rapidly, which we've seen in the past going all the way back to 2008 with the banking situation. One of them starts to get weak at the knees, the other ones rush in to help. And is it because they bought too much Hasbro stock? Is this ESG component working out for investors like Silicon Valley Bank and Hasbro? Are they raising money? Are big investment banks still buying this stuff as they pepper consumers with new products one after the other in paper release? It doesn't seem like you can finance each and every one of them fast enough. As we look at the headline here this morning, which reads, Bank of Canada ready to act in the event of extreme market stress. So a little bit of market stress happening here, and the bankers know it. And a little bit more information on Credit Suisse. That seems to be the second domino, as we've heard it in the mainstream media, but not exactly. It could have actually been the third domino. There could have been another bank that sort of fall into the winds in between Silicon Valley Bank and Credit Suisse, as others bankers rush to swoop in and save the day with the swap lines, international swap lines, allowing the U.S. and other banks to send money overseas to other continents to uh, banks that support the U.S. dollar rather than any other currency, including the Chinese yuan, as China is continuing to push the yuan as a currency all around the world. Banks are opening up swap lines with other United States friendly banks in order to move money all around the world. Ottawa gave the Bank of Ottawa said on Wednesday that it was ready to step in and support the banking system if it came under severe strain, but would only offer extraordinary liquidity in extreme cases, while at the same time seeking to mitigate moral hazard. This moral hazard, what is the moral hazard you're talking about? It could be just about anything of the aforementioned subject matter that I discuss here on the channel. But in a speech to financial service professionals in Montreal, Deputy Governor Tony Gravel said that the central bank's quantitative tightening program have run its course by the first half of 2025. So quantitative easing has a counterpart known as quantitative tightening. This is where interest rates increase and inflation increase, which could be why we're seeing a $400 to $500 box price as a player of the game of Magic the Gathering, when we used to see an $89 to $110 price. The failures of U.S. lenders and Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, followed by Credit Suisse rescue, is prompting central bankers to closely monitor the potential for banking stress to trigger a credit crunch. The bank's mandate to promote stability in the financial systems mean that we're ready to act in the event of a severe market-wide liquidity support the financial system. So more of these news banking headlines that tend to appear. There's plenty of them coming out, and here's another one from the Financial Post that came out just yesterday. Bank of Canada ready to act against banking turmoil. Tony Gavel says as the Silicon Valley Bank crisis sparks interests across Canada, triggering Deputy Governor Tony Gavel to announce that they are ready to act in the event of a financial sector stress. Another newsline headline here from the Financial Post, as well as another one from Bloomberg Magazine. This one was fresh last night. Bloomberg reports that the triumph of UBS is also the humbling of Swiss banking after the fall of Credit Suisse and its hastily arranged merger with its rival and the return of former UBS chief Sergio Ermotti, Switzerland sees one big winner and a lot of losers. Marcel Opspel, the Swiss banker, dubbed her UBS or master of UBS by his biographer, had a story about what happens when the mighty fall, building UBS Group AG into a global behemoth, and became one of the leading financial figures of his time, only to have the bank come close to collapse during the 2008 financial crisis. All this as we see Hasbro stock price moving and drifting upwards just over the last couple of days, as you can see here on the screen. We are pushing up to $52 mark. I know that a lot of the financial speculators are calling for a $42 price for the Hasbro stock, but as we can see here over the last week or so, it's gone from $48 up to $52. It would seem that these folks are getting the financial interest from any investment bankers who would purport to buy Hasbro stock, portending to the matter that is at hand as the central banks jump in to bail out banks like Silicon Valley Bank, as well as Credit Suisse and many others. The Chinese yuan still continues to rally around the rest of the world, while players of the game of Magic the Gathering are going to be stuck with a $500 box price for the next foreseeable future. If you're interested in the new Magic the Gathering sets as it pertains to March of the Machines and other interesting releases that we see, the champions over at Wizards of the Coast and Magic the Gathering publicists will continue to bandwagon these new sets to get into your wallet and try and get some money flowing and cash flow into the company. Good morning, folks. I got to say hello to each and every one of you folks here this morning. Who have we got joining us here on the chat? I really appreciate you folks for being here again. If you caught the live stream yesterday, I enjoyed doing that one with you folks because it was a little bit of a change up from our usual show. You can thank, if you liked that one, you can definitely thank Mrs. Alfonso for that. She's the one who put me up to it. She said, Brody, you've got to get on this spoiler and share this, folks, with the viewers at home. So I thank everybody who turned up. It was a highly successful live stream. Couple of live streams yesterday. We got a lot of interest from folks. Anger Collections is here, another fine connoisseur of Magic the Gathering cards, somebody who is doing quite well in the world of Magic the Gathering collecting and investing. I would suggest checking out Anger Collections, and I might even head over to Anger Collection's TCG player to see what I can find for myself. Because at this point, I'm not super convinced that I'm going to be buying too many cards of the new sets directly from Wizards. We've reviewed a few of the secret layers here, but I think I'm going to be sticking to the secondary market with friends and folks that I know who are buying and selling on eBay or TCG Player, much like Anger Collections, Ed, the Dual Brain, and any of the high end Magic the Gathering connoisseurs that join in each and every morning. Johan Matuzzi is joining us here from Sweden. Thank you, Johan. I appreciate you, patron of the best form. And if you like the shirt that I'm wearing, this one will eventually be available to patrons along with many others at the best Magic the Gathering shirts that are available. If you are a patron after 6 months, you can claim the Brody shirt. It helps the channel grow. If you want to get involved, you can join the patron, and I will literally give you the shirt off my back in order to encourage you folks to look handsome and fantastic out there in the world as you face the challenges of the day. May the sun be on your face and the wind be at your back, but may your back be covered in fine garments such as these, only available through the Patreon over at Alfonso Investments. Johan, I thank you for joining us here this morning. Richie Dubs, good morning, bro. At now. ah, Richie, I'm so happy to see you here this morning. The guy makes me laugh. Comedic genius at its finest. Thanks for joining us all here on the channel this morning, Richie Dubs, for Keeps Games, and anybody else who's playing for Keeps. Ed, the Dual Brain, who is essentially a brother from another mother, main inspiration figure on YouTube for me. Thank you, Ed, the Dual Brain, for joining in. And good morning, Brody. Thanks for coming to the premiere. Absolutely. I'll try and hit up every premiere that I can whenever they're happening, provided I'm not knee deep in some form of work thing that keeps me going. Yes, you heard it here. For all of those of you who are not financially independent or not sitting back with a silver spoon in your mouth watching everything burn, as you rub your palms together because everything that's going on in the world makes absolutely no sense. We try and bring everything together here. This is the show where the working man is here for the working man. I am your host, working the microphone this morning, Brody Alfonso. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing in order to keep making Magic the Gathering content for you folks. Warkeep says, been watching your past flea market videos, Ed. That Helm of Obedience was nice. Oh, the king of the swap meet, Ed. You've caught on to his swap meet deals. You can learn a lot over there and how to approach these things. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Ed the Dual Brain says that flea markets will be continuing near him on Sunday, so that should be pretty fantastic. That we'll see a little bit of nice weather, and we'll be able to get some outdoor content. I love it when we get to go outside and enjoy the sunshine. Spring was just about here the other day. I got so excited, I almost wet my plants. No, I used that one yesterday. I did. And there's a hard and fast rule about using dad jokes when you're not a father. It's considered a faux pas if you're not a dad and you're making dad jokes. Yes, a political faux pas. Ed says he's just around sorting his collection from some of the stuff that he's found at the flea market. A good strategy to get some Magic the Gathering value into your collection. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. The price of Hasbro stock hovering at around $52. I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot of support for it in and around this mark. let's just throw through the comments. Titantaman is joining us. Murray Cooper, how are you doing today, Murray? Thanks for joining the conversation. Michael Superbacker is here with a cup of coffee and a little bit of sunshine. Twiddler is in the house. Thanks for joining us, Twids. And Richie Dubs and Benson, all the folks joining us here this morning. All right, if you want to join in the conversation, all are welcome here. I encourage you to do so. If you want to get involved, share your thoughts and opinions. You don't have to agree with everything I say. You can even leave a comment in the comments section below. If you say, Brody, you're bonkers, you're bananas, you don't know what you're talking about, do it. It's fine. You can share your opinions here each and every day. I share mine. You're welcome to do it. All are welcome here on the channel. Hodwe or howdy. Good morning, Benson. Another master of the YouTube short coming in here this morning. Shall we go over to the stock desk and take a look what they're saying? All right, I think we should. Let's hit the refresh button to make sure that we get a chance to look at this. Now, disclaimer, Brody has already done a full 1 hour review of this secret layer, the Winter Super Drop 2023, plus the One Ring. So Matt Grzecznik is slightly, no, I can't fault him. It's just we're covering this each and every morning. And we're here in the morning show with viewers like yourself, so I can't help it that folks are a little behind. They've got to go through publicists, but let's see what Matt Grzecznik says about the One Ring and the Super Drop. If you want a little bit more in-depth opinion, if you want to hear my opinion on this Secret Lair Super Drop, check out Secret Agent Brody's Secret Lair review. As always, emphasis is on prices, foils, and potential value of the new art prints, including the One Ring. Keep it hidden, keep it safe. On the land of Mordor, the fires of Mount Doom, Wizards of the Coast have forged a print, the One Ring extended art, or rather one card to rule them all. This precious foil card, which features Borderless art in the black speech of Sauron, will be placed at random in one collector booster pack. Odds are pulling it at 1 in 0.000403%, meaning the Ring of Power will fall into the hands of a single lucky player, or most likely, or most unlucky creature imaginable. There are some people that saying it won't even be open because people are going to be holding on to incredible amounts of sealed product and perhaps trying to drive up the box price of sealed product. However, the meaning of the Ring of Power will fall into the single lucky player's hands. Whoever this card ensnares as a new bearer will certainly wield the power of the market, as the card has already been estimated at various price points. And I would like to hear some of the opinions on this from Matt. Opinions at the elevated proposed prices for the Serialist Ring are plentiful, with some community members offering $50,000 for the destruction of the card and others offering $100,000 for ownership. Excuse me. I could have a sip of coffee. So the opinions that portend to, given the nature of the serialized card, there is, in this case, the ring to break the previous record by the signed Gem Mint Black Lotus of $511,000. Do you think this is going to be anywhere close to beating that record price of the last auction that we saw on PWCC for the signed copy of the Black Lotus, signed in the case, of $511? I think it was more like $545. I'm going to say this One Ring is probably going to be sealed in somebody's box on the shelf. Maybe it's going to be an MTG Gaming Bob's sealed product and it's just going to sit on the shelf there forever. But as a regular card commonly available in 3 other prints, the One Ring possesses 2 very strong abilities. The first, there's the protection from everything for the turn you cast it, which can be very easily abused with cards like Drafna, the founder of Latnam. Let's check out Drafna. You get to return target artifact you control to its owner's hand with draft on the board for a blue and 1. And then for 3 and a tap, you get to copy target artifact spell you control. The copy becomes a token. So Drafna lets you copy the One Ring over and over again, and you Umbilicus. During each player's upkeep, that player pays 2 life or returns a permanent he or she controls the owner's hand. That'll bounce the One Ring back to your owner's hand, and that will let you cast it again, allowing you to create an infinite loop of protection from everything with the One Ring. Second of all, there is a card draw engine which provides the case for a mind over matter to increase from $38 to $95. If you don't have a copy of this Exodus card in your collection already, I'm sorry you don't. Don't worry, I don't either. But I'm going to wait for this set to come out and pricing to ease on mind over matter before I jump in, and go desperately seeking a copy. So if you're wondering why that card's going up, if you have extra copies, now is the time to sell any of them at a premium price, as the speculation on how good the One Ring is going to be, and people are already starting to experiment with the battle mechanic that's coming out. The regular versions of the One Ring are going to be starting at $55 and up, and it's an unlikely scenario that the serialized ring is not found, or perhaps destroyed in transit or discarded without being opened. The price of associated collected boosters are likely to continue to rise until this adventure is concluded. Now we'll get on to the secret layer and take a look what Matt has to say about that. Let's check out the chat with you folks here this morning. Keep it coming. I love it. March of the Machine spoilers are fire. Tommy Sidden likes the faux pas. Yeah, if you're not a dad, making dad jokes is a faux pas. Four Keeps Games. We just good morning, Tommy Siddons. I gotta reach out to Tommy Siddons here this morning. Tommy Siddons, wherever you've got Brody this morning, if you've got me dragging from the bumper of the car, maybe you got me in the side boom of the excavator, or you're on top of some scaffolding this morning. Maybe you're in an office somewhere. I want to thank you for joining the conversation. I've seen you here over the last week or so, and whether it's just you've just warmed up to participating in the chat. I appreciate all your comments, and new subscribers are always welcome here. Hope everybody will give a warm welcome to Tommy Siddons for joining the conversation here this morning. It's truly great to have you with us, Tommy. I hope today treats you fantastic. Here's to you, mate. Thanks for joining us. I try and get a chuckle out of you folks. Make your day a little lighter and a little brighter. I know you folks do that for me. I do this show because I get to meet amazing people like Johan Matuzzi from all over the world, in Sweden, no matter where you are. Michael Superbacker from Boston. We got Gaming Bob joining us from Ohio. We got Richie Dubs joining us. We got Ed the Dual Brain from Connecticut. A lot of folks from all over the world get to put their heads together here this morning and discuss Magic cards because we love the game like nobody else. Now, if you look at the subscriber count, there's like 245 of you folks who tune in regularly. I want to point something out. Well, I've been doing this for a while, and if you want to know why is Brody's subscriber count so low, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Brody's got a low subscriber count because the way I've got the YouTube search algorithm programmed on my end is to attract the very best viewers in the entire universe. So the 245 of you folks who are subscribed are the very best viewers available in the planet. So I like to reach out to you folks first and make sure that all the most beautiful people, the amazing fans of Magic the Gathering who love this game as much as I do, are subscribed, and the rest will follow. And if you are watching now and you think you deserve to be in the top percentage of the best viewers and the most passionate fans of the game of Magic the Gathering, you're more than welcome to join us. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button. It lets us know and it lets the conversation grow. You can join Tommy Siddons and all the new subscribers who are getting in on the conversation each and every day. Like I say, quality first, and the rest will happen. That's the approach we're taking to YouTube. Wizards could do the same. So there's my plug for the morning. Let's get into some Urtai Adept here this morning. It'll never be found in the not in the Great White North. Yeah, what are the odds of this coming to Canada? It's been a struggle and a challenge for Canadians ever since Magic the Gathering was released. We have this supply chain issue. That's been a buzzword that was used over the last couple of years. Supply chain, trucking, as it turns out, the distributors and the common folk like myself who drive trucks and move the products around the world that people need are in fact the most important part of the daily economy, and it comes down to distribution and supply chain and everything else. No matter what anybody in Wizards Ivory Tower will shout down and blame distributors or supply chain management for their problems that they're having with quality and their products not selling, I think we all know what the real story is, because it's the folks who drive truck and move products around the world that actually get these products into your hands if you're in Canada or anywhere over across the United States. I think anybody who's involved in supply chain, especially the people who work at the post office and the local mail office, I use them all the time and they're quite nice to me. They even know me by name. I appreciate those people who are working folk for the working folk that move these products around the world. So if you thought that it was going to be somebody from Wizards of the Coast dropping off the One Ring into somebody's collection, you're mistaken. That is going to have to pass through many hands of supply chain and regular distributors, working people, to get that card to wherever it goes. Benson's in the New York City region. All right. Chicken dinner was last night, too. All right. Richie Des says, in my opinion, it can sell at auction for $1 million. It's going to be really interesting to see what actually happens with the One Ring. You could get two wealthy nerds to bid in a bidding war, and the sky is the limit. Well, you know what's funny is that most people who collect Magic the Gathering are working folks who have jobs. Some people take to YouTube or to events and would love Magic the Gathering to be their full time vocation. The problem with that is it doesn't, unless you're doing it differently, you're not exactly providing any value to the rest of the economy. So it is the working folks who will be looking for this card. And I don't know how many people are going to have $1 million on a credit card and be able to bid on it. That's going to sort of make it available if it does end up to auction to high-end whales. My volume's down. Volume's down. All right, let's keep it up. How's that? I don't want to go too high. Let's check the volume. Make sure we're coming in loud and clear. Let's get on to this card. Urtai the Corrupted. Step in complete foil. We got to read Matt's review here for this $18 Planeswalker in Step and Complete. You know there are going to be fake One Rings opened. I wouldn't put it past. The shenanigans that should ensue is going to be very, very interesting, to say the least. Dual Brain says, Brody, just so you know, I love the joke at the end of your stream. I always share it with Mrs. Dual Brain when I catch it. Yesterday's eyewitness joke was great. All right. Well, I try to give you guys something funny. Join the club, right? I told Miss Piggy the bank joke. She loves it too. Mr. DJ Longhair joining us here. Are you still doing well? We're all thinking about you and pushing for you, DJ. I want to review this card, the Urtai Corrupted Step and Complete Foil, as it's brought to you by Matt Grechnik. I have a trouble with his last name each and every time. Urtai the Corrupted is a niche card with a simplistic effect and cost associated with it. Well, let's look at that effect. It costs you a black, a blue, a white, and 2 for this 3/4 that says 4 and tap is sacrifice a creature and or enchantment counter target spell. All right. So the earlier Urtai the Adept was a card that you could pay a bunch of mana into and counter a spell. The new Urtai allows you to sack a creature and just have counter spell on a stick. So I guess you can see breaking this is going to be pretty easy to do with something that generates a lot of tokens. And if ability to untap Urtai and Commander makes this Phyrexian wizard a force to be reckoned with. While some time ago it may have been considered powerful, now it largely falls behind the curve of efficiency, played mainly in EDH, and as usual, as part of the 99 rather than a commander itself, the card has failed to gain immense popularity. Printed originally in Planeshift, pricing has been steadily rising due to the agent availability rather than actual player demand for Urtai. Whether a reprint is obtainable from the list or not, this card is available for $1 to $4, depending on the printing. This low price point is likely to continue as more reprinting opportunities are likely to arise in the future. The Secret Lair variant of Urtai is available in Step and Complete foil treatment only, and the price of which is currently on the margins of $18. As we review the prices of other cards such as Drivnod, Carnage of Dominance, this is the 8/3 black legendary Phyrexian Horror for 5 mana that says if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. And then you can pay 2 Phyrexian black and exile 3 creature cards from your graveyard and put an indestructible counter on Drivnod, the Carnage of Dominance. So even now, prices for the cards such as Drivnod or even the borderless Step and Complete version of infamous Atraxa of the Grand Unifier tend to be on a downward trend for this kind of treatment and is already being leveled out to steadily pricing. The other notable thing about Urtai is the second version of the print from Planeshift. This more exclusive variant of the card is currently trending at $620 after a buyout earlier in 2021. Excuse me? Second version of the print from Planeshift is an elusive variant. Let's just jump over Urtai the Corrupted. Let's just jump over to the Corrupted from Planeshift B variant. This card right here. Ah, yes. This is the Planeshift variant. Sack of creature. This Urtai's worth $620. Okay, so maybe we're trying to catch in on some of that hype here. Richie Jubb is joining from Connecticut as well. He's in Ed's shed in his backyard. How's the Wi-Fi coverage from Ed's backyard shed? Good morning, DJ from Four Keeps. Get a CDL and haul that. CDL holders are coveted in this climate. Quality over quantity. That's right. Ah, good. DJ Longhair says he's back from the hospital talking about the March of the Machine PowerPoint presentation. Find some fun, current spoilers, and BS with us in Magic the Gathering. See you live, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Well, it is Thursday. It's today. It is Thursday today. So that you know what that means. Anybody who hasn't been over to Mr. DJ Longhair's MTG Roundtable, that is happening. There's a link in the chat. for this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. It is one of the most inclusive roundtable discussions on the internet about Magic the Gathering. Everybody is welcome to join in the conversation over there. You're likely to see multiple hosts hosting and co-hosting the roundtable with Mr. GG Longhair. We've seen the Moxman over there, Ed the Dual Brain, Superfast Tortoise, Prime 406, MTG Gaming Bob, Twiddler, and even myself have made appearances on the roundtable. Somebody little known fact, I did my very first live stream on Mr. DJ Longhair's roundtable a time ago. It was a lot of fun, so I always want to make sure to pay credit to YouTubers who help raise up other people, and Mr. DJ Longhair does that by raising other people up over his head. You can stand on the shoulders of giants if you want to see a little farther. And Mr. GG Longhair, I thank you so much for inviting me on the show. Whenever possible, I will try and make it. Benson says I might be your long lost son. College football, I don't know. College basketball for me. You folks are having a lot of fun this morning. We're checking out this Urtai, the $620 version of the Secret Lair Step and Complete foil. If you ever see one of these for cheap, this Urtai corrupted, just keep in mind it's worth a boatload of money. What else have we got? Crick, the son of Yawgmoth, the Phyrexian. This one has already been seen play, and if you caught Commander with the Coopers there a weekend ago, Murray Cooper knows this card. I think Jandon, the man, was playing this card in his Commander deck. Good morning, Murray. Thanks for tuning in. Crick, the son of Yawgmoth, is a Commander card that is popular in EDH, and it allows people to pay black mana using Phyrexian 2 life. And I wigged out and immediately opened a Legends pack. Yes, I did. I left that part out. On my very first live stream ever over at the round table with Mr. DJ Longhair, I was so excited. I wigged out and I opened a Legends pack. I did. I was like, I got to remember this. I got to make this memorable. Making memories is the name of the game. There's no better place and no better crowd to do it with than you folks here. Let's take a look. Crick the Son of Yawgmoth, popular EDH commander card, which has caused a decent amount of speculation around its release. Beyond the initial brainstorming, Crick has displayed a downward price trend, currently faced at $7.75. First printed in Commander in 2019, then reprinted as a Judge promo as part of the list. Crick now received 2 additional printings. First in the Secret Lair with Post Melon collaboration priced at $20, and again 4 months after the Phyrexian phase at $8.70. With 5 printings available and a steady decline in price, there is a good chance that the average for this commonly reprinted variant will fall to their lowest historical price of $5. This card pairs well with Bolas's Citadel. Aside from its current uptick in the price of the Citadel, it's available as part of a Secret Lair with the Post Melon collaboration along with Jet Medallion, and the latter of which is actually the cheapest way of getting the card at $30. I can't help but think this is going to be a well that Wizards of the Coast goes back to again and again, getting celebrities to loan their likeness to Magic cards in order to push sales and to open up more markets. As we've discussed here multiple times on the show, my personal thoughts is that Wizards of the Coast has an addiction to new customers and will make a Magic card for just about anybody, whether it's good or bad, in order to attract new customers, even if it's to their own detriment. Crick the Son of Yawgmoth is an example of a card that was put together in a Secret Lair. It may not have needed a printing, but it was simply done as a promotional stunt to grab more attention to the game. Ren and Seri the Inseparable. Ren and Seri is perhaps the most deserving or thematic Secret Lair that we have seen up to date. We saw this one in the 90s binder experience, which is a little bit confusing to me because I don't understand how this at all is a 90s binder experience. Everybody I've talked to has said none of those binders, my 90s binder my binder did not look like that. Any of those cards in the 90s. I don't know why they chose to call it that way. If anybody happens to know, please leave me a comment in the comment section. I would love to understand what they were thinking when naming this the 90s binder experience. Just like some of the other secret layers that seem to have misnomers. I think the other one was like flyers, and then something to do with flyers, and none of the cards had flying. I don't really know why this is called the 90s binder experience, but nevertheless, Rin and Seri is a fan favorite. It's probably the most powerhouse card of this particular secret layer. And if you want to see my full review, 1 hour just on that secret layer, check out Secret Agent Brody's secret layer review. It's a lot of fun. I want to see Matt Grzeschnik's opinion on Rin and Seri. As he says, it's one of the most deserving and thematic secret layers we've seen up to date. I could not agree more. Originally a Biobox promo card for 2021, Rin and Seri has been reprinted since, and in terms of flavor and mechanics, the card doesn't belong to any standard set, which makes it more of a reserved for extra products like numerous master sets. Seeing it as part as a secret layer continues the exclusivity and price inflation of the card. The original copy is currently $23 after it spiked to $43 in the last 12 months and subsequent price decline. The secret layer copy is $21 and shows a further declining trajectory. While the card is at a very specific piece, the original printing will likely see a further increase in value due to scarcity. The current demand for the card comes largely perhaps because of the exclusivity of EDH, played predominantly as Commander. The dog and cat duo tick a lot of boxes for interested players, being underrepresented tribe, as well as having a payoff for pushing tribal cards in that colors that reward token generation as quite a combination. In conclusion, with the direct sale of alternate art styles, collaborations with artists, and now continued serialization of cards, Wizards of the Coast has not only increased the choices in deck building and flavor, but also achieved record profits in revenue. While alternative and special treatments of cards are welcome to many, the concept of product fatigue is becoming more and more prevalent. Matt Grzeschnik is a Magic player who started playing in Dragon's Maze. Since then has tried experiment with multiple formats, including discovering his love for EDH and Pauper, piloting the same Jund deck for over the last 10 years, now tries to understand and break Sealed as a format. What are we going to do? I'm going to follow Matt over on Twitter. I'm going to give him a shout out and let him know we're talking stocks this morning. Let's do that here. Talking stocks this morning, Matt. I want to say thanks for Matt for for joining, making this article for us here this morning. It's always good to have a good objective read, even though sometimes uh, the articles are a little slow to come out, but I know that they're doing their best to get these articles through editors and publishing and into the rotation in a timely manner for folks. So I want to thank Matt for providing that great article for the amazing fans here on the channel to read a little bit this morning. Let's catch up on the chat here. For those of you who are just joining us and have no idea what the heck this show is all about, this is the show where we tie it all together. We want to look at the prices of Magic cards? Is there too much information out there? Is there just too much white noise, hard to make sense of it all, or is there not enough information out there? Do you like tracking the prices of Magic cards? Let me do it for you. I'm doing it each and every morning, Monday through Friday, with you folks here live on stream. A little bit of morning Magic stocks and talks. I want to thank all of you folks for joining here this morning. We are going to get into some here are your movers and the shakers for today, March 30th, 2023. We're going to run the legacy list. Let's do it. Let's take a look at the movers and the shakers here today. Speak of memories, never forget the ride back from Las Vegas. I can't do it. That is the thing. We're making some pretty sweet memories there, Gaming Bob. It's times like that you just say, man, I'm glad I went. Legends cards are great. I have 2 commons, but love them anyway. My binders in the 90s were not like that either. All right. Nothing says the 90s like a dog wearing a top hat. I don't remember. In before cat dog crossover. It's a thing of beauty. These are your movers and your shakers for today. We're going to be doing the legacy set. Benson says, have you seen the lore? It's all about that. They didn't destroy Elish Norn. They just told her she is canceled for being mean and caused her head to fall off. Secret Lair was designed for somebody who has no clue. Keep the chats coming, folks. Let's look at the legacy side today. Tundra, any of the dual lands. Now, which one of the cards from the new March of the Machine set is going to end up in legacy? Is there anybody who's going to be playing a battle mechanic in legacy? Kylan's Card Shack. Thanks for joining, Kylan Perdon. Another one of the highest quality viewers in the world joining us here. Thank you, Kylan. One of the 245. Somebody I got to hang out with in Magic 30 in Las Vegas. It was great. Kylan, these are your movers and the shakers for today. Tundra, coming at the top of the list from Unlimited. These Unlimited dual lands seem to be rocking. You know, you can always get yourself a revised copy, but the Unlimited copy, if you got a couple bucks, is worth a little bit more. Maybe strategy. Let's talk dual lands for a second here, okay? I want to talk dual lands and Monopoly for a minute, or any game piece, because these dual lands are a bit of a bone of contention for folks who play Commander. Always want to get dual lands into the collection. You go, which one do I buy first? All right, Brody's going to share you his personal game theory on dual lands. Plateau will always be worth roughly a quarter of the price of an underground sea. So 4 plateaus gets you into an underground sea. All right. So if you want to start somewhere, get the cheapest one, get the plateaus, get your playset. If you want, and if revised. And then once you get the playset of plateaus and revised, you trade them in. You try and trade them into the underground sea, which is generally, or the volcanic island, which is generally 4 times the price of the plateau. It has been relatively historically, and that may change as they all tend to drift higher. Once you repeat that cycle a couple of times, you can start getting into some of the lower tier reserve list dual lands like this Tundra. Now this one is also makes blue mana, so it's quite desirable, but the Boros dual land, which is the plateau, the red and white one, pretty undesirable. Nobody wants that one, but it's still good. It gets you in the real estate market, right? And then you start maybe get yourself some Badlands. Now you can't cast Daze off of Badlands because it doesn't make blue mana, but it's still a decent card. So you start with some of the lower end ones and try and trade up into the blue lands, the ones that make blue mana. Once you get to that point and you've got your sort of your play set, of revise completed of each of these dual lands, then it might be thinking of trying to upgrade into an unlimited version where you can maybe trade into an unlimited version of any one of those, or a black bordered one if you want to go hard and get black bordered dual lands. They really just need to print dual lands that are better than the OG dual lands. Good comment. Yes, they do. And this is what I think. That's a better solution than reprinting them. I think. Why not? Because then you get both, right? Why not print something that's better? A tri-land. It could be coming. We don't know. Like this is the thing. What we're discussing, like this blueprint 2.0 with Hasbro. There's going to be so many products flying at us this year, and we have no idea what exactly is going to be coming at us. Okay, there's going to be so many products coming at us, and it could involve some powerful cards from new sets that have yet to be spoiled yet. So keep your eye out for something in the, like, it could be coming this year. This could be like with the amount of desperation and the amount of debt that they're carrying and trying to push sales, I wouldn't be surprised if that was coming later on this year. So this Tundra, this is a vintage legacy and commander staple. As you can see, that's the only places you can play it. Can't play it in modern, can't play it in standard, not in pioneer. Blue Tinker is playing the white one, Cephalid Breakfast. Ooh, that looks, man, now this is a deck I want to. What is Cephalid Breakfast by Einstein? 5-0, first place in Legacy. Cephalid Illusionist. Okay. This is Cephalid Breakfast. Now, speaking of its morning show, so this deck list is quite fitting. This is where the Tundra is being played. It's 5-0 in Legacy in a recent tournament. When a Cephalid Illusionist comes to target a spell or ability, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. This turn, prevent all combat damage to be dealt to and dealt by target creature you control. So what are you doing? You're eating cards off the top of your library, putting them into the graveyard to play this Nomad's Encore. Redirect 1 damage to Nomad's Encore to a creature you control. Narcomoeba. Yeah, I guess if you flip the Narcomoeba over, it comes back. Stoneforge Mystic. Thassa's Oracle to Fairy Time Raveler. Cabal Therapy. Dread Return. Force of Will. Step Through. Shuko. Equipped creature gets 1/0. 2 copies of Shuko. Cauldron Complete, the living weapon. I'm trying to see how this deck wins. Stoneforge Mystic gets the Cauldron Complete. Maybe that's Thassa's Oracle is a backup win condition. Interesting. All right, another list. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards on the reserve list here this morning, including the Illusionary Mask. This card's a 2 mana. This was the precursor to Morph, if anybody's wondering. Okay, let's read this card. This is like the first card that Morph. Yeah, you can make them snow duels and they come in untapped, right? Fetchable Snow Shocks, pay a life to untap. If they make Commander legal, better dual lands, it's about time they get to justifying the price of Commander Masters. Yeah, they're going to have to put some better cards in there in order to get $500 for a box. Let's look at this Illusionary Mask. This card costs you 2 for this artifact. You can pay X and choose a creature card in your hand whose mana cost could be paid by some amount of mana or all of the mana you spend on X. If you do, cast that card face down as a 2/2 creature without paying its mana cost. If the creature that spell becomes, as it resolves, has not been turned face up and would assign or deal damage or be dealt damage or become tapped. Instead, is turned face up and assigns and deals damage and is dealt damage or becomes tapped and activate only as a sorcery. So you can play a creature face down for X and hide it. I want to get a copy of this card. It looks pretty fun. They don't have any decks using it, but it would be an interesting way to hide a game-winning combo creature, perhaps like what we saw in the Cephalid deck. Illusionary Mask, it's on the reserve list. This one wasn't reprinted in Unlimited or past Unlimited and Revised. It's $269. What else? Beta version 600 and the alpha for $13.98. Kind of some spooky art on here by Amy Weber, the same artist that gave us Time Walk. Illusionary Mask, pretty fun card, a casual card. I would say this is definitely a casual Magic card. Underground Sea, another one of the dual lands that we've been talking about, with Tundra making its way on the list. And as a whole, these dual lands tend to move and be tethered to one another. So that's why, like, if you're saying, I can't afford to get myself a dual land, you guys maybe start with some of the lower end ones, the cheaper ones, because there's a saying that goes out there. It says, a rising tide lifts all boats. So when there's a disparity in a metagame like Vintage or Legacy, which are the predominant formats using these dual lands, when there's a disparity in the top tier decks, meaning a deck that was tier 2 all of a sudden becomes a tier 1 deck, just like Painter's Servant is now seeing some attention because it was always tier 2 and deemed not competitive in Legacy. Once a deck like that gets some support and gets some additional support with other printings of new cards, then that deck all of a sudden becomes a tier 1 deck and it starts winning tournaments, and the dual lands that it requires also tend to shift in price. And then you see a little bit of a horse race between the Underground Sea, Volcanic Island, and any of the other dual lands. But as a rising tide lifts all boats, it'll still drag up the price of the less sought after dual lands because they are all from the same sets. So regardless of if you can't get the Underground Sea, I would still suggest getting some of the lower ones like a Scrubland or perhaps a Savanna or perhaps a Plateau. And then that way you can get into the dual land real estate market without breaking your bank, and you can always trade into that one later. Force Field, another card that really gets me excited because it was a card that was it's got okay, Force Field. Let's look at Mox Jet. We can't look at Force Field today without looking at Mox Jet. If you look at the art on Mox Jet here, I like this. It's a fun fact, and for people watching at home, just for artistic value, this art on the Force Field, it pairs up with the Mox Jet here. Okay, so if you didn't know this already, if you're new to Magic, anybody who's new to Magic and wants to see a little bit of early Magic the Gathering Easter eggs, pay attention to this card, Force Field. And once I discovered this, I had to have it because I wanted to put the two cards right next to each other and match them up. Okay, so if you look at this card, Mox Jet, of course, if you haven't heard of Force Field, you've definitely heard of Mox Jet. But for nostalgia and for fun factor and for something cool, if you look at what the fella here is holding up on the Force Field, it's actually a continuation of the art off Mox Jet. And when you hold the two side by side, this actually completes part of the artwork that we're seeing here on the Force Field and the Mox Jet. In this art by Dan Fraser, yeah, you can see this sort of this gumball candy cane gobstopper type of a layer. It's almost like he's holding up a really big gobstopper, but that just goes to show how big this Mox Jet can be, could be, and would be, should be. All right. So the force field, not only is it an Easter egg card with a hidden completion of art that goes along with the Mox Jet, it's the better part of an artifact cycle that was given to us in the really in the in the early games of Magic the Gathering with Jade Monolith. So Jade Monolith was the counterpart to Force Field, which they put Force Field on the reserve list. Jade Monolith, they kept giving it to us because, let's face it, it sucked. If you can't afford Force Field, buy the Jade Monolith, and I'll tell you why. Okay, this card's going to be good, and it's going to continue to be good. And the older the version you can get, the better. I want an unlimited card, Brody. Well, the Jade Monolith is only $26.63. It's from the same time period as Force Field, except Force Field went on the reserve list, and Jade Monolith continued to see printing. Jade Monolith is a card that works well with Darien, the king of Keldor, because these two artifacts are kind of polar opposites. While for 3 mana, the force field says you only lose 1 life to an unblocked creature, so something hits you and you only take one damage. People would say, "Oh, that's way better than Jade Monolith," which says instead of taking the damage to a creature, you redirected all damage from yourself to another creature. So when you redirect the damage with Jade Monolith over to Darien, whenever you're dealt damage, you create that many white soldier tokens. You can just redirect the damage that's going to all your creatures with the Jade Monolith and just create a whole plethora of tokens with Darien, the King of Keldor. Ooh, Johan says, I think it was Dual Brain who showed me the same thing with artwork in early set planes. Ah, yes, the planes that go together. Yes, I remember seeing that video over at Dual Brain's channel. And it was the kind of thing that I looked at and I'm like, I have to like put these together and do it for myself. It's so much fun. Four Keeps Games. Let's see here. We got Four Keeps Games. Good. Benson says I got the same mindset as you, Brody. Probably for dual lands, right? Caldra is the win. Okay, in the Cephalid Breakfast deck. My buddy who owns LGS won't mind if they reprint the reserve list. A lot of people wouldn't mind. Kylan Perdon, have you seen the lore? It's all about that. They didn't destroy. Oh yeah, they just destroy Alice Norn. They just took her head off. Triptych video. I was trying to think where I'd seen that recently. So if you can't afford the force field, the Jade Monolith is another playable card. Some might say it's even more useful because it provides a win condition, whereas the force field doesn't. It just stops you from dying, right? So when people are measuring the power of Magic cards, it's like, does it win me the game versus does it stop me from losing the game? And arguably, a card that wins you the game is better than a card that lets you not lose. So, Force Field, pretty great, pretty expensive. Jade Monolith, also pretty great. Situational with Darien, but there could ever be some other cards that work like Darien. It's going to make Jade Monolith go higher. And if it does, I don't think Force Field's going to move. So maybe you buy a couple copies of the Jade Monolith, wait for something to be reprinted that works with it like Darien, and then you can trade one of them into a copy of Force Field later down the road. Like it's hedging with like a similar card with similar effects in order to get you into the one that costs more money. So how does Force Field protect you from a 5/5 with Infect? You only get one poison counter? Let's see. The next time an unblocked creature of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent all but one of that damage. Yeah, I guess it prevents all of it, and then you just take one. Force Field, pretty good. Land Equilibrium. Ah, like this card. If you ever wanted to play land destruction, Ponza, you got to play blue, right? What? Brody, get out of here. You're crazy. Speaking gibberish this morning. Yeah, if you want to play land destruction, you have to play blue. You got to play cards like Land Equilibrium, Mana Vortex. Let's take a look at Mana Vortex. Here's a card from the dark. It's on the reserve list. Whenever you cast this spell, counter a list, you sacrifice a land. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a land. When there's no lands on the battlefield, sacrifice more mana vortex. So this sucker sucks your lands into a black hole and everybody else's, and it goes around and around the battlefield. And if you have something like a Crucible of Worlds in play where you can play your lands from the graveyard, this thing's just going to keep going around the board, blowing up everybody else's lands, and you don't care because you can play yours from the graveyard. Land Equilibrium says if an opponent would control at least as many lands as you, put a land onto the battlefield. Instead, that player puts a land onto the battlefield, then sacrifices a land. If opponent controls at least as much land as you do, he or she must sacrifice a land whenever they put a land into play. All right. So if you can play something like a Field of Ruin that makes all players go and search up lands, this card gets really good because you Field of Ruin somebody's land, and if you have as much land as they do, they get to go search, but then they have to bin one, so you go up a land. It makes this Field of Ruin a whole lot better. This card's also on the reserve list. You can play it with Mana Vortex, Land Equilibrium, and any other land destruction cards that are in blue. Maybe you want to play it with like Telekinesis. And there's a few, I think there's a couple other blue. Anybody help me out with any other blue? There's another one that I just can't think of at the moment for blue land destruction, but it would be something that not a lot of people would see coming. Tanawa, Deck's using it. Ooh, Tanawa rolls in its sleep, but the land is awash with the waves. One of my favorite cards from the bottom end of the reserve list. At the beginning of your upkeep, all lands you control phase out. So with Tanawa as your commander, this card off the bottom end of the reserve list is now seeing some play, and it's being used in decks with land equilibrium. So all your lands phase out, and then what happens? This is mono blue. Seems like a fun deck. Ledger Shredder, Gilded Drake, Mercurial Spell Dancers, Silver Mirror, Snapcaster Mage, the Reality Chip. What are we doing here? Boomerang, Psych Rift, Counterspell, Latinum's Legacy, Mana, Telekinesis. Here it is here. Target creature deals no damage this turn. If it becomes tapped, it doesn't untap for 2 turns. Capsize. Return target permanent to owner's hand, so you start bouncing their stuff. Acid Rain. There we go. Destroy all forests in play. There's some more blue land destruction. Ensnare. Naturalize. Thwart. You may return 3 islands you control to their owner's hand instead of paying Thwart's mana cost. Counter target spell. Here's a card, Thwart. How much is the Mercadian Mass foil version of this? Here's a card that's worth buying right here. This uncommon, $30 right here. Mercadian Mass foil Thwart. I'll tell you right now, this is a pickup. Right here, there's 4 of them available at the Card Kingdom. Mercadian Masks foils, especially this one with an alternate casting cost. I'll tell you, Brody's pick, yeah, Dual Brain nailed it. Ed per point, it's ridiculous. I believe, in fact, is a point per damage of the thing. Acid Rain, that's the one we're talking about. But look at this card. Like, how is this card $30? Let's see. I want to get a copy of this card. It's really good. If you get the foil version, $30. I don't think you're ever going to go wrong. It's a counter spell that bounces 3 islands. It basically, it pitches. It seems darn good. It's played in Commander. It's, Baral, Chief of Compliance is playing it. Thwart. I mean, there's a good card right there. Alternate mana cost. Even if you don't want to, if you want to buy the foil, like the foil multiplier on that one is really good. But if it's anything like Snuff Out, like we looked at Snuff Out, a pauper common there yesterday from Mercadian Masks. Here's a black card with an alternate casting cost in foil. Destroy a target non-black creature. It can't be regenerated. This one was printed in common, so it's good in pauper. But here's $124 for a Mercadian Mass foil alternate casting cost card. Armageddon from Unlimited, bumping up on the list here today at $148. There's plenty other copies of this, but if you want to play old school Ernageddon deck, by uh Ollie Rad, Ollie Raid. Take care, guys. Going to work, away to lodge. Thanks, Johan, for joining us here, buddy. Appreciate you. Have yourself a good day. We'll talk to you again soon. There was a deck using the Urnam Geddon. So it's not even here. Urnam Dejin used to play this card. Urnham Dejin. Here, the original Urnam Geddon deck, okay? This is the card that used to play. No decks found. See, I love it how they don't even acknowledge like original old school Magic the Gathering decks. If you like, okay, so and this is Ollie Rade was like when Mark Justice and Mark Long and all the cool kids were playing Magic the Gathering back in the 90s. Ollie Rade was a long-haired nerd who sleeved his cards and people looked at him funny. Well, Armageddon is not a party foul in old school, okay? Because like there's only so many decks that are viable in old school. If you want to play old school and you want to play on a budget, if you want to sit down at an old school table and play some fun Magic, get yourself the Armageddon and the Urnam Dejin. It is a party foul in Commander for sure. But with a card like the Urnam Dejin that says at the beginning of your upkeep, target non-wall creature an opponent controls gains forest walk until your next upkeep. It can't be blocked as long as defending player controls a forest. So the idea with Urnam Dejin was to play Llanowar Elves on turn 1 and turn 2, and maybe some form of a mana rock. Like if you had a Mox, you could play it, but a Soul Ring would do it. If you went turn 1 Soul Ring, Llanowar Elves, you're gonna get your turn 3 Urnam Dejin, which is a 4/5, and then right after that cast Armageddon to wipe your opponent's lands off the board, meaning that all of a sudden now they don't have Forest Walk. And if they can't stick any other threats because they're out of land, the 4/5 Urnam Dejin just takes over the game and wins that way. That was a top tier deck in the 90s of Magic the Gathering, and it's still one of my most favorite and interesting decks to build today. So that's where Armageddon sees play. And you can look it up for yourself. Ollie Rade, Urnam Dejin, Urnham Geddon deck. See if you can find a. Here we go. Urnham Geddon. Old school 93, 94. I want to find a look at it. Here's the Urnham Geddon deck here. You got Findhorn Elves, Llanowar Elves, Serendib Ifrit, Urnham Dejin, Autumn Willow, Disenchant, Time Walk, Time Twister, Armageddon, the power. So you can play this deck without power and it still works okay. You can even add Gazban Ogre, which is the 2/1 for 1 green mana in the Urnham Geddon deck. That's where this sucker is played, and it's played in old school. So if I know it's a faux pas, and Benson's right. Mike Hatcher. They got tired of him being an Armageddon apologist, so they left. Good morning, Mike Hatcher is here. Thanks, Mike, for joining. Morning, perps. It's funny how awful the Dejin is by today's standard. Hey, Mike, I gotta speak to Mike Hatcher for a second here, folks, guys, and welcome Mike to the channel. Good morning, Mike. Hatcher, thanks for joining the show here today. I just want to take a second to say I really enjoyed your video on March of the Machines lore yesterday. Somebody who takes his Magic the Gathering lore seriously, Mike Hatcher provided a pretty in-depth look at the March of the Machines set that was spoiled yesterday over on the Magic Historian channel. So myself, I'm looking at cards. I enjoy Magic lore as much as the next guy, but I really like the take that the Mike provides over on his channel, because he reads the books, he reads the lore explicitly. He's very detail oriented to make sure that the storyline coincides logically with the way the cards are rolled out. And I really appreciate, if I want to have a look at the lore and catch up on how Magic the Gathering cards are fitting into the storyline properly, I always like to take a look over at Mike's channel there, where he discusses Magic the Gathering lore, and I consider him one of the best, if not the best, uh, articulator of Magic the Gathering lore when it's compared to Magic cards. I didn't get a chance to catch the live stream, or I would have sent you a super chat and said thank you for providing that coverage. It was really well done. And I will definitely be catching the rest of the replay of that live stream, because it was a real good one. I got to cover the debut with viewers here on this channel live when it came out. We did a debut. We enjoyed the debut together, and we provided a little bit of commentary. And then a few hours after that, I saw that the Historian channel had come up with a video discussing the lore, and I rushed in to watch it, because I was like, I have to see what this guy has to say with regards to how the lore fits in to the new set. I don't read the books in depthly in the storyline, because I just I just don't. I read bits of it, but I don't take it as near and dear to heart as Mike does. I don't think anybody does it quite like he does. So if you haven't checked out that lore uh, live stream replay over on the Historian channel, it's one of the better ones that you're going to find out there. And I think plenty of people have already seen it, but I just wanted to say thanks, because that's another source that I go to get my Magic the Gathering information and updates. A wealth of information, as always. Thank you once again. What else have we got here? Greetings. Then I cast King Solomon to kill your Dijin, right? Uh, YouTube was trying to keep us apart. It happens, right? You don't want to be kept apart. I don't think I subscribed. You're getting a little bit of chop. It's fine. Scrubland, I think we talked about dual lands already. And my cousin Jimmy, if you're catching the stream this morning, this is Walluli Wolf, a little 1/1 wolf from Arabian Nights, a common. This one's interesting. Tap to give any creature in play +1/+1. Pretty neat card. There's two versions of the art on this one, the A and the B. Okay, one's got the dark mana symbol, and one's got the light mana symbol. What are the decks using it? No decks found. Well, I'll tell you, set collectors are always going to want this card, the Walluli Wolf. I mean, it's wolf tribal. It is a wolf. Why not? If you're going to build wolf tribal, get yourself some Walluli Wolf. I don't know any other reason to pick this thing up, but Wolf has been getting really good support in new sets, especially Throne of Eldraine. I liked the 3/3 Wolf that gets indestructible and fights with the treasure tokens. That was a pretty good Wolf, if you ask me. So maybe Wolf Tribal. I was hoping Garuk would give us a little bit more support for Wolf Tribal, but nevertheless, the Walluli Wolf is definitely a card that gets you some wolf creatures in a tribe that maybe could use a little bit more support. There's arguably better wolves out there, but in a 99 card deck, this might be a decent card. Canadian Winternet strikes again. Handcuffed to a laptop and making videos about shorts. The dystopia future is here. Sadly, it happens. What else we got on the movers and the shakers here this morning? Savannah, another. Oh, Nicol Bolas, the original Nicol Bolas. Well, you see, what's happening now is if we're getting some chop in the stream, it's going to be because everybody's now gone to work and is piling on the internet. So this original Nicol Bolas is an elder dragon from Legends. And that's the last card on our list here this morning on the movers and the shakers. My time is up, folks. I do gotta go. I want to say thanks to you, amazing fans, for living up to the hype as the most highest quality viewers in the world of Magic the Gathering. Thanks for you folks for tuning in. Appreciate you all for joining me in this morning live stream to talk a little bit of shop, a little bit of stocks, a little bit of talks here this morning. If you folks haven't already, say hello to the patrons and the free Treons who join us. Where do boats go when they're sick? They go to the boat dock. All right, there's been a rumor about butter going around, but I'm not going to spread it. It's how it's not good for your health, but that's something nobody wants to hear about here on the channel. Thanks for joining me on this look at the movers and the shakers, a little bit of Magic the Gathering news, look at the banking and finance world here this morning. I want to thank each and every one of you amazing subscribers for joining me. If you don't like tracking the prices of Magic cards, is there too much information out there or not enough information? Let me do it for you. I'm doing it each and every day, Monday through Friday, here on the morning show. Join the bro. It's Thursday, March 30th, 23. Thank you, folks, for joining me on the best darn morning Magic the Gathering show on the planet. Mike Hatcher's in the house, Ed the Dual Brain, Richie Dubs, Benson, Johan Matuzzi from Sweden, John Simmons, MTG Gaming Bob's here, Richie Dubs, Kylan Verdon, Mr. DJ Longhair, Four Keeps Gaming, Murray Cooper, Titantaman, Anger Collections, and anybody else who got a chance to tune in this morning. Have yourself a wonderful day, everybody. Be safe out there. Mike Hatcher says, real talk here. I intend to use your channel as a case study for my Winning at YouTube series. Have a good day. Appreciate that. Let me know how it goes. If there's anything I can do to give you a hand, Mike, let me know. Go for it, Mike. Case study. We need more case studies. Mike Hatcher, Secret Agent Hatcher is on the case. Sounds good to me. Hit the like on the way out, you slouches. All right, you too, Richie Dubs. Love you guys. Don't let the like button hit you on the way out the door, right? Appreciate you guys for tuning in, everybody. Enjoy your day. I'm just going to go through some of the chats here. I don't make shorts. I make longs. It's been better for now. Check them. Shameless plug. Appreciate you for stopping in, Mike. It's been great. Ed, the dual brain. I'll keep in touch with you, buddy. Oh, the chop is fixed now. Get that chop. Have a great day. Thanks,